Hi and welcome back to another video of JPlay. I am Marcus and today should be a rather short one as I'm having a relatively quick look at Richard Garfield's Dice Hunters of Therion. Bear with me, I'm using the German version of the game, which comes in Amigo Red and is called Würfelhelden, which loosely translates into Dice Heroes. It's a game, it's a family-friendly game, let's put it like this. It comes with some, let's call it Yahtzee elements, or it's really Yahtzee driven in respect to the rolling of dice, re-rolling of dice, but that's about it. It's a very simple game, but still comes with a lot of fun, I would say, and definitely absolutely cute artwork here. So yeah, I think I will demo a 3-player game today because I do think it's a little bit more fun playing with 3 than or 4 players. There is a 2-player variant in there. It's really not a variant. It's simply that you have to keep going a little bit longer. Maybe I will explain that to you at the end of the video, but let me set up. The game should be also relatively quick, and then yeah, let's simply show you a couple of rounds. And yeah, so here we are again, the setup for the 3-player game. We have the green, the blue, and the, let's call it, reddish player. It doesn't really matter too much because the color of those dice is the same. The dice faces are the same for each of those dice here. Well, that's pretty much the starting setup. So each player starts the game with 3 of those white dice. The yellow and the red dice are something that you have to unlock throughout your journeys here, and ultimately we are trying to chase down those villains here, which are represented by those warrants. The first one is a 5-pointer, then we have a bunch of 10-pointers, and the last one, I think it's the boar here, is a 15-pointers. That's one way how you can score some points. You will also score not an insignificant amount of those points through simply collecting some of those coins, yes, by rolling those dice. And the way how you are determining the start player is actually very well integrated into the whole setup in the first round of the game, because everyone is simply rolling their dice, and whoever has the most amount of swords will pretty much go last, but will kind of have first dibs on the first wanted here, the first villain. So here we have 1 sword for the greenish player. That's 2 swords for the blue player. I'm relatively certain that the red player can do much better. And by the way, those dice here, they have 2 faces of them shows those coins. 3 of them show swords, 1, 2, and 3 swords, and 1 of those shows this yellow die, which would then, yeah, you guessed it right, unlock yellow dice for you. So let's see what he's rolling. And yes, for sure, the red player will be first and will be last, and will have to place all their sword dice next to the villain. So basically at the start of the game, or by the seating order or whatnot, you have to more or less identify whose side belongs to which player, similar to Keyflower. So in this case, this will be the red player, blue player, and the green player. It's really important to identify or to show who was pretty much closest to hunting down a villain here. So the red player now has 4 swords, and that's really not bad for 4 dice, that is. But this also means that, and I think I'm playing basically towards this direction here. Should I? No, I will go basically clockwise order, which means the green player will be first. And now again, Yahtzee style, we are rolling these dice up to 3 times. There is no access on these dice, so we cannot lose them, we cannot really lock them. It's totally on us how we want to re-roll those or keep those. So let's simply start rolling for the green player here, and that's really not a bad result, because this means we could go into the lead for the very first character here, and I think that's really not bad. So we will stop rolling here. We would have 2 more attempts, that is, but I think with 6 swords with 3 dice, that's pretty good. Which means the red player has to take their dice back, and now it's green in the lead. And yeah, you kind of, I guess, also guessed it right. If it comes back to the green player's turn and their dice are still next to the villain, yes, they would have captured it, and then yeah, they would score those points accordingly. But now we're going to the blue player. Relatively certain that that's also not bad. Again, rolling those 3s early on is not bad, but let's try to go a different path. So we are going with the coins, so let's re-roll those. I think we will stop here. I mean, that's a pretty cool roll because it simply shows coins. Normally you would guess it right, you would gain 3 coins. But there's a special rule. If you don't roll any swords within your party, these dice are pretty much called heroes. So again, if you don't roll any swords whatsoever, you will double the amount of coins, which means in this case the blue player will get 6 points, which again isn't bad considering the fact that this villain here only quote-unquote gives you 5 coins. So I think this was pretty solid for the blue player, but that's already the end of their turn. So let's move over to the red player. Has some similar... Ooh, that's also not bad. So this is now really a very cruel decision point. We have 5 swords here, and there are basically 2 out of 3, 2 out of 6, sorry, so 1/3 of a chance that we will be able to beat that player. But this yellow die here could be also a very good preparation for the rounds to come. Again, this is only a 5-pointer. The next 5 or so will be 10-pointers, and the last one will be a 15-pointer. So getting those extra dice might be good as well. So again, let's stay on target for now. Let's roll this. Yeah, we can go with 2 yellow die. We still have 1 more reroll, and if this would... Oh, wow. That's not bad. So we get basically all those yellow dice for the next round. Any excess yellow die we would have rolled here, of course, wouldn't give us anything, but we could unlock the red dice on those yellow dice here, and they're all pretty much the same, only in the fact that the red dice simply shows 1 X here, and the same is true for the yellow die in here, which basically would make you lose that dice when you roll that. But that's pretty much the end of the, let's call it really a round. This game is simply going round in circles. So we are moving back to the green player, and because their dice are still next to the villain, it means we have captured this first villain here, the Jester. We are putting it, I think, somewhere in here. Doesn't really matter too much. So we have scored 5 more coins. So the next one here is this insect. Doesn't look as innocent, or isn't as innocent as he looks, or believe me. And then it's basically still the green player's turn, of course, so they can simply put in more swords next to it or whatever. Could prepare, and again, that's not a bad roll. And you can win in multiple ways in this game. And I think in this case, 5, 7 swords, I think I will leave it here. Each of those sword faces is once on this die, so all of those are 1s or 6s, or where do you want to put it. So really going into the next round with 7 dice now is pretty impressive. Okay, that will be tough. Still, the blue player is kind of in the lead with 6 coins, but doesn't have any extra dice, whereas the reddish player here, or purple or whatever color it is in a good shape in respect, really rolling a hell of a lot of dice. So they will be in a good position to beat those 7 swords here. But let's see, it's the blue player. I think that's not bad either, right? So let's prepare, let's get a coin, let's reroll that sword. Let's reroll it again, because this 1 sword doesn't do anything for us. It's obviously not more than the 7 swords in here, and if we keep it on a sword, we would simply lose 1 coin, because again, if we don't roll any swords, we will double the amount of our coin symbols. And amazing. I mean, that was almost the best result we could have rolled. 1 extra die for the next rounds, or for the rounds to come. And then 2 coins times 2, because we didn't roll any dice whatsoever. So that's 4 more coins. So we are immediately jumping to 10 coins. That's really not bad. But then let's see if the red player can exceed that to some extent. And I think they did. We will hold on to this, and maybe let's also hold on to the coin. Why not? Let's re-roll that. I'm pretty sure we can do better than that. So that's 6 versus 7. And again, a tie is not enough, you have to exceed. And I think that's pretty perfect. So we will hold on to the red die, and I think we are going to re-roll that. This could be another coin or something else, and it is another coin. Now, because they rolled swords, they only get basically 2 coins, so 1 for each. So we are not doubling it, but we are unlocking the red die here. But for sure, we have taken the lead in respect to the villain hunt here, which means those dice go back to the green player. I mean, they were kind of thinking about that seeing the amount of dice the red player would draw. I think that wasn't really a surprise. But that's again it. We are moving back to the greenish player here. Again, cute artwork. And okay, I think let's hold on to this. This doesn't help us. With 3 dice, we will not be able to exceed 9. That's simply a fact. So we might as well simply reroll those to infinity. That's another, oops, that was a coin, but that's another coin. And we get 1 more reroll. I take it. That's again a very, very cool roll. So we're getting a yellow die and 4 coins. Because again, it's doubled as we didn't roll any swords whatsoever. So overall, also at 9 points, not really bad, and unlocked another yellow die for the rounds to come. Cool. So let's move back to the blue player. They have a chance to beat the 9 here, but 9 is really strong. So, ooh, that's a 6. So let's for now hold on to this. And the 2s, I think they do not do us any good, right? So let's simply re-roll those. That's a red die and a coin. I think that's not bad. Let's re-roll this. That's our last roll. And that's another, oh wow. He's doing exceptionally well. That's 6 more coins for the blue player. Amazing. And is unlocking the red dice. And again, they're at 16 coins. Here we have 9 coins, and yeah, the red player will now go to 10 points, or 12, with those 2 coins here. So overall, I think blue is in a good shape, but sooner or later, you definitely want to make sure to get at least maybe 1 or 2 of the villains. You can really get a lot of points through those coins, as you can see, but I think it might not be enough. Let's see about that. But yeah, let's move back to the red player. They have clearly won. It's their dice, so they have scored those 10 points. The next is this. Is it a badger? I think so. So we have the 10 points here. But yeah, we are still rolling those dice. And wow, that's really not a terrible roll. What are we doing with that? I think we want to do something like this. Basically going both directions. Getting some coins, maybe not doubling them, but still getting some coins could be important, and also getting some more swords. I think that was a pretty cool roll. So here we have lost our very first die. It's immediately removed, not from the game, but moving back to the player board. Let's do this, and then let's roll this one here again, and that's another coin. This was really a very, very, very cool roll for them. So we're getting 4 coins, so 1 goes back up to 6, and we are placing those 6 swords next to the badger up there. It's solid, most likely not enough, but at least a start, and not making the lives of the other players too easy, of course. Okie dokie, then let's do 1 more round, right? And I think then you should have gotten the idea of this game. Let's roll. I think that's not a bad result, actually. That's 7 and a die. Yeah, it's more than, I think let's simply stop. So we are unlocking the yellow die here. Those dice go back to the red player. And yeah, let's end it here. Then we are moving to the blue player. They're rolling their dice again. 7 is not unbeatable. And okay, red die, unfortunately, immediately goes back. So I think let's do another prep round or so. We have 2 more re-rolls. That's another coin, and let's do that one here. Yeah, of course, this didn't really help, so we can pretty much ignore this one. So we are not doubling those. It's still 2 coins. I mean, I take that, and we are unlocking 1 extra yellow die. And again, I believe the yellow dice is pretty much the same as the red dice. The only, let's say, thing that you have to keep in mind, you can only ever unlock red dice through yellow dice. That's the only thing, and all the dice are limited here. But okay, let's move to the red player here. Let's roll those dice. We have lost 1 right off the bat. Should we go for a coin round? These are really the only real decisions that you have to make in this game. Which direction to take, how do you want to split things up apart from that? I mean, it's really a dive-driven game, very similar to Yahtzee, but you still have some decisions to make, of course. Yeah, let's simply re-roll those 2 for now. Yeah, we have to stick to that one here. We still have a reroll, and maybe I should have explained that. Of course, none of those dice are locked whatsoever. I could say, I don't want this, I want to reroll them all with my last reroll. That's totally allowed, of course. This one here, as soon as it shows the X, it's out of the current round, that is, of the current turn, that is. But I think that's a pretty good turn, so we are getting this dice right back. We didn't roll any swords, which means the red player will score 6 more coins. I mean, overall, that's 22 points in total. Not terrible. But then, yeah, we would move back to the green player here. They have their dice in here, which means they have record this badger here. And then, yeah, we have this awful chameleon. I think it's a chameleon. And we would now pretty much keep going. I think everyone is in okay shape. So they are at 19 points. The red players, or the blue player is also at, no, they're at 18 points, but still in an okay shape. But of course, they would now, let's do this one last roll just to see how things go, right, shall we? Yeah, that's not great. So we are removing that die. Let's stick to this coin. Let's reroll those. Yeah, okay, this will be a coin round, I believe. So 3 more coins. We have 1 more reroll here. Yeah, this didn't help, so we are getting 3 more coins. Do we have a 5er? Yes, we do. So it's still good. I mean, they're also now at 22 points. We are putting those 2 dice next to the chameleon, which now means it's relatively likely that someone else will take the lead. So let's see. Let's do this. Okay, that was I think we will leave it at this. This is great. We were getting 2 coins for the blue player for those, but we are putting those dice in here. That's 8 swords. This die goes back to the green player, and then red has to beat this, right? Yeah, let's see. Okay. Oops, this was a coin, I believe. Oh, that's an interesting roll. I think we will leave it at that, and we'll simply re-roll that. And yeah, that's great. I mean, 6 more coins now for the red player and 2 more dice. I'm pretty sure they're in a great shape. I mean, that's 15, 25, 28 points already, and a hell of a lot of dice. But yeah, I guess let's end it here. You really should have a good idea of what Dice Hunters of Therion or Würfelhelden actually is. Again, learn some German with me. That's what I typically do on my channel here. I really do hope that you enjoyed my little, let's call it, walkthrough of the game here. Maybe the one thing that I promised you to do is to have a look at the 2-player variant. So in a 2-player variant, you're obviously playing with simply 2 characters here. And I think, yeah, depending on what you have, I think you put this one next here, and where is the blue one? Oh, okay. This doesn't actually work. So we have to basically find, that's a bit strange. We have to find 2 heroes that match. So let's put it like this and put it like this. Apart from that, it's all the same. I think we are removing 2 of those 10 pointers here just to speed things up a little bit. So let's bring those 10 pointers in here. We would still determine the starting player like we did in the, let's say, 3 or 4 player game, that is. So whoever has the most sword will be last, and then we'll basically start the chase of those. But as soon as you are basically for the first time, let's say the green player would be first with something like this, for example. Let's say this was their first initial roll. Let's clean up here a little bit. And then it would be, I don't know, the red player. The red player would have rolled maybe just some coins, getting some coins here accordingly, 6 for example. Then it would go back to the green player. Normally in a 3 or 4 player game, they would now immediately get this villain here. In a 2-player game, what you do is you put your marker next to this. Then you are bringing basically your dice in here. Then you would roll those dice, and let's say, that's a good roll. Let's say they rolled this and this, so they would gain a coin, and they would still place their coins in here. Then it would go back to the red player. Maybe the red player would roll something like this, for example. So again, getting 2 more coins, 2 more yellow dice, and then it would go back to the green player. And in this case, you check, okay, is it the hero and the dice from that hero? In this case only, they would basically take that both, and then they would have gained the villain here accordingly, simply because otherwise it would simply be a back and forth between those. Not really fun, and I think that is a relatively clever way to deal with a 2-player version. But yeah, that's basically it. Again, I really do hope you enjoyed it. A huge shout out to all of my patrons and channel members. Before I end my video here, you guys are truly amazing. So if you want to support my little show, you can find a link to my page on Patreon. You can join my community here on YouTube. There's this little join button down there. You can use the super thanks feature with this little $ underneath this video if you want to make a small donation, or maybe not so small donation. I appreciate that all. Like and subscribe, leave a comment. This also greatly helps the channel. And yeah, with that being said, hope to see you soon in one of my other videos. And until then, bye bye.